Hip hop, as usual, man. I'm not good at talking about myself, but I express it through the music. It's an honor to be here. Tyler, the Clips, like these are my brothers to be in this category. What's up, Push, man? Malice, man.
2025 Grammys turned into straight-up chaos, the epicenter of one of hip-hop's wildest rivalries ever. Kendrick Lamar walked out with 5 massive wins while the crowd exploded with chants calling out Drake.
What happens if Kendrick Lamar and Drake run into each other in the wild?
Oh, Drake would destroy that little guy.
Yeah, he's a tiny little dude.
He's a tiny little dude.
But what if Kendrick is expecting that?
Then, out of nowhere, a leaked Backstage clip dropped, and what it showed, nobody saw it coming. That footage flipped the entire night on its head. At the 67th Annual Grammy Awards, held on February 2nd at the Crypto.com Arena in Los Angeles, the energy was different, raw, electric, and full of tension. This wasn't just another night of fancy speeches and thank yous. This was the night Kendrick stood tall on that stage while thousands roared, throwing shade at Drake and shouting accusations that had the whole internet buzzing. Kendrick showed up with 7 nominations and walked out clutching 5 trophies, all tied to his explosive anthem, Not Like Us. That track hit hard, calling out Drake as what people said was a certified predator and a culture vulture stealing from black music for years. The crowd wasn't just watching, they were living it.
Every time I tell you this, hip hop is gonna always be right here. We're gonna be in these suits, we're gonna be looking good, we're gonna be having our folks with us, we're gonna be having the culture with us. So I appreciate y'all. God is the glory. Love y'all.
Every person in that arena screamed the lyrics like it was an anthem of truth, shaking the whole place with every word. Kendrick Lamar stormed into that arena with 7 nominations and walked out stacking 5 trophies, all for Not Like Us. That track wasn't just a hit, it was a direct shot at Drake, calling him out as a certified predator and a culture vulture who'd been leeching off black music for years. When Kendrick accepted his awards, the whole crowd erupted, thousands chanting every fiery lyric like they were part of the performance itself. The chants got wild, voices filled the room, echoing harsh accusations that went way beyond music, touching on a minor allegation so intense that it later sparked several lawsuits in federal court. The Recording Academy saw the legal storm coming and made a risky call.
Yeah.
Nas ethered Jay-Z. We all were there for that. That
God.
happened. And Jay-Z's still Jay-Z.
They scrubbed the crowd's audio from the official YouTube uploads. It was their way of cleaning up the chaos, trying to make the moment look polished while quietly protecting themselves from fallout. And then there was Kendrick's outfit. He stepped onto that red carpet rocking a full Canadian tuxedo, denim jacket, denim pants, the whole fit. Most people would have called it a fashion risk at a fancy award show, but for those tuned into the feud, it was clear this was no coincidence. That look was a slick, silent jab at Drake's Toronto roots. Every stitch of that denim screamed strategy. Kendrick wasn't just accepting awards, he was sending messages, reminding everyone who held the crown of cultural authenticity in this battle of giants.
Now that it's happened, I'm like, wow, I didn't want this at all.
And
this is dark.
And it seems like this one, how many songs did they release so far?
I think they're both at like 3 or 4. I think they're both at 3.
That is 4.
They're both at 4. They're
4 each.
4.
Trevor Noah didn't hold back that night. He went straight for it. Standing on stage, he looked right at Kendrick and said, "I thought about roasting you and remembered what you can do to light-skinned men from other countries." The crowd lost it. Laughter and applause filled the arena like a wave. Kendrick just smiled, relaxed and undefeated, soaking in the energy of a man who knew he'd already won, completely and permanently. Meanwhile, Drake was a ghost at the event, nowhere in sight. He'd boycotted the Grammys entirely, refusing to step foot into a room that was basically celebrating his downfall in front of millions. His absence spoke louder than any performance could. But that's when the story twisted into something nobody could have seen coming. Only hours after the ceremony ended, chaos hit the internet. A mysterious video began spreading across every social media app at lightning speed, and people couldn't stop talking about it. The clip was grainy, clearly shot on a phone by someone trying to stay hidden in a packed backstage area or an exclusive after party. But the faces, they were shocking. One man looked exactly like Drake, the other looked exactly like Kendrick. The short clip had muffled shouting, someone's voice breaking through the noise yelling, "Hands off me, Kai, to do it!" Emojis floated over the screen, proof it had been posted through an Instagram or Snapchat story before someone's screen recorded it. From there, it exploded online, reposted, remixed, dissected. Within hours, the clip was everywhere, sparking total chaos in the hip-hop world.
I do notice hanging out with you, you do like lyrics. You're a lyric,
yeah.
like whether it be rap or anything,
Yeah.
like it's what the person's kind of talking about.
Yeah.
Usually they get you going.
I just love clever lyrics, like I love a clever joke.
Within hours, the internet went wild. YouTube channels flooded timelines with wild titles like shocking fight footage leaked and Kendrick versus Drake full backstage brawl. Views skyrocketed instantly. Comment sections blew up with fans going head-to-head, breaking down every blurry frame, zooming in, slowing it down, all trying to prove where it happened. Some swore they recognized the spot from the Crypto.com arena, while others insisted it was from a secret afterparty in downtown LA. Hip-hop has always been fueled by rivalries, from Tupac versus Biggie to Nas versus Jay-Z. That last one even birthed Ether, a diss track so iconic that to ether someone became part of hip-hop slang. But what's happening between Drake and Kendrick feels different. The tension's deeper, the words sharper, and the digital age has turned the entire thing into a wildfire, where truth and rumor mix with one click.
Well, you advise that Drake leave Kendrick alone in his new music. Do you think that's gonna happen?
Nah, but when I mean leave him alone, we gotta leave the moment. There's no more direct engaging. We ain't no more diss songs. It's over. So he's supposed to sneak this him.
Here's the kicker. The so-called fight footage, totally fake. The video wasn't real at all. Frame-by-frame analysis and audio testing revealed it's been heavily edited. A deep fake or face swap clip pulled from what looked like a reality show moment. Experts even said it might have been inspired by scenes from Love and Hip Hop, famous for its dramatic, staged confrontations. Look closer, and the clues are obvious. That bright pink background, the dramatic camera angles, and the overly scripted yelling. It all looked like a parody, not a real fight caught in the moment. Despite millions of views, no legit outlet or insider ever confirmed any physical altercation between Drake and Kendrick, not at the Grammys, not backstage, not anywhere. The so-called evidence was pure internet illusion, a viral mirage that fooled the entire hip-hop world for a moment. This feud goes way back, over a decade of tension boiling under the surface. But here's the real giveaway. Even TMZ, the outlet known for catching celebs in their messiest moments, had nothing. No clips, no photos, no reports of any Drake versus Kendrick fight. Billboard, silent, complex, quiet, Rolling Stone, not a word. When all the biggest names in entertainment news stay silent like that, it screams one thing loud and clear. The whole story was fake. And this isn't even the first time fake content has popped up from their rivalry. Understanding that history explains exactly why so many people fell for the hoax. The Drake versus Kendrick saga has been an online battlefield filled with deepfakes, AI-generated leaks, and straight-up planted misinformation. Both camps have been accused of fueling the chaos, an all-out information war where truth gets blurred with strategy.
Would you go on a business deal that you got no game?
Well, wait, yeah. Hold on. I feel when he beat Meek Mill, it raised him up a notch. Back to Back was a big song in his career. I feel it was one of his biggest songs.
One of the wildest moments in that war came when Drake himself admitted that he once planted false info just to test Kendrick. He told people he'd slipped Lamar's camp a story about a hidden daughter, setting up a trap to see if Kendrick would take the bait. Drake allegedly waited it out, hoping Kendrick would drop it in a diss track without double-checking the facts. It was a calculated move, a psychological game hidden inside the music beef, showing that for these two, the battle wasn't just lyrical, it was tactical. When Kendrick dropped Meet the Gram and mentioned the so-called hidden daughter like it was solid truth, Drake came swinging back hard with Heart Part 6. In that track, Drake bragged that he played the game perfectly, that he planted fake intel just to expose Kendrick's team for falling for it. He basically claimed victory right there, saying he'd proved that even Kendrick's crew could be fooled. From that moment on, the line between truth and fiction in this beef was completely shattered. Every new post, lyric, or rumor that surfaced after that was questioned by fans like detectives looking for clues. But this whole rivalry didn't start with that move. It's been simmering for years. The roots run way deeper than most people think. It all kicked off back in 2013 when Kendrick jumped on Big Sean's track Control and called out almost every top rapper, including Drake, saying he planned to outshine and outrun them all. That verse flipped the industry upside down. Drake's response, cool and dismissive. In interviews, he brushed it off, saying Kendrick was just showing ambition, a hungry artist trying to make a mark in a crowded game. But behind the smiles and polite words, fans could sense it. The rivalry was real. They still worked together on songs like Poetic Justice and Problems, keeping things professional on the surface, but everyone knew the tension was brewing underneath.
Yeah, these are talking about each other's kids.
That's what I'm
on
saying.
songs, talking about each other's actual children.
Then in 2016, things took another twist when former NFL player Marcellus Wiley dropped a bomb on ESPN. He claimed Drake and Kendrick nearly came to blows during a Sports Nation taping after accidentally running into each other at the studio. That story reignited the rumors all over again, proving that this feud wasn't just about music. It was personal, unpredictable, and dangerously close to boiling over. According to Marcellus Wiley's detailed story, things backstage almost blew up. He claimed Drake started ranting about Kendrick completely unprovoked, his energy shifting fast from calm to furious. Wiley said the tension got so thick it nearly turned physical, until people nearby had to step in and cool things down before it went too far. But here's the twist. Even though it supposedly happened inside a TV studio packed with cameras, no footage has ever surfaced. No clips, no leaks, nothing. To this day, the whole moment remains unverified. A wild story with no one willing to step forward publicly to back it up. For years after that rumored clash, the two superstars kept their jabs subtle and clever. The disses were sneaky, indirect enough to deny, but sharp enough to sting. Then came one of the biggest scandals in Drake's career. The world found out about his secret son Adonis, not through him, but through Pusha T's brutal diss track, The Story of Adidon. That track shook the rap world, exposing what Drake had tried to keep private in the harshest way possible. Meanwhile, Kendrick kept stacking wins with albums like Damn, a masterpiece that not only earned critical praise, but also landed him the Pulitzer Prize for Music. That honor sealed his place as a once-in-a-generation artist. Then came Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers, where Kendrick dropped sly lines that many thought were aimed at fake artists chasing fame over real art. Drake fired back subtly in 2022 with his album Her Loss, sprinkling lyrics that fans and hip-hop insiders immediately decoded as aimed at Kendrick. It was another round in a feud that never really cooled off, one that's less about hate and more about pride, power, and who truly sits at the top of the game. And the tension between Kendrick and Drake had been simmering for years, but by March 2024, it finally erupted into full-blown war. The digital age turned this beef into something the rap world had never seen before, a mix of diss tracks, deepfakes, and pure chaos online. Everything exploded when Kendrick jumped on Future and Metro Boomin's track Like That and flipped the whole hip-hop hierarchy upside down. In the verse, Kendrick straight up rejected the idea of the so-called Big Three, the long-accepted trio of himself, Drake, and J. Cole seen as the rulers of modern rap. He cut right through the polite industry talk and said it with absolute confidence. It's just Big Me. That one line hit like a nuke. It was bold, ruthless, and impossible to spin as anything other than a direct shot. The crowd went wild, and in an instant, the battle lines were drawn. Hip-hop had officially entered open combat. The fallout was immediate. Within weeks, both artists were dropping diss tracks left and right, each one sharper, dirtier, and more personal than the last. Drake fired back with push-ups and the tailor-made freestyle, but this time, he took things to another level. He used AI-generated voices of Tupac Shakur and Snoop Dogg to mock Kendrick, making it sound like the legends themselves were siding with him. The stunt shook the internet and split fans right down the middle. But that move backfired fast. Tupac's estate wasn't having it. They called it a huge violation of the late icon's legacy and demanded action immediately. The backlash was so strong that Drake had no choice but to take the track down, marking one of the most controversial moments in rap beef history. Just days after Drake dropped his AI-fueled freestyles, Kendrick came back swinging with Euphoria, a 6-minute lyrical storm that tore through the internet like wildfire. In it, Kendrick painted Drake as a manipulator and called him out as an absent father, saying he cared more about fame and business than his own family. The shots were personal, cold, and crafted with precision that left no room for misunderstanding. But Kendrick wasn't done. He doubled down with 616 in LA, a track that felt like a quiet warning before the storm. And then came Meet the Grams. That one hit different. Kendrick went straight for Drake's world, mentioning his parents, Dennis Graham and his mother, and even referencing his young son, Adonis, who had nothing to do with the feud. The move shocked fans everywhere. People couldn't believe how far things had gone. Then came the moment that sealed the entire battle. Not Like Us. It wasn't just a diss track, it was an explosion. The song dominated every platform. Streaming charts, radio, clubs, social feeds, everywhere you looked, it was playing. It became a cultural tidal wave that stretched far beyond music, turning Kendrick's verses into viral quotes and headlines that refused to die down. The sheer volume of music flying back and forth was unreal. 8 diss tracks in just a few weeks. Each one was sharper, meaner, and more personal than the last. The speed of the releases forced both artists to fire back almost instantly, creating songs that felt raw, unfiltered, and brutally honest. That rapid pace blurred the line between fact and fiction, leaving fans scrambling to figure out what was real and what was just another digital illusion made for views and clicks. To understand how that fake fight footage blew up so fast, you've got to look at how deep artificial intelligence has sunk its teeth into hip-hop culture. AI has completely changed the way fans judge what's real. In rap, a world built on persona, storytelling, and flexed-up image, it's become harder than ever to tell fact from performance. The line between truth and fiction has always been blurry in hip-hop, but AI turned that blur into pure fog. This tech didn't start in rap beefs, but hip-hop was the perfect place for it to thrive. The culture's built on competition, exaggeration, and creativity, so when deepfakes came along, they fit right in. By 2020, experimental creators were already dropping viral AI clips that felt too real. The game changed fast as advances in machine learning and generative adversarial networks, the kind of systems that train AI to copy voices and faces, made it possible to imitate anyone with scary precision. Then came the moment that proved AI could completely shake music culture. A YouTube channel known for voice synthesis posted clips of an AI-generated Jay-Z rapping Shakespeare's To Be or Not to Be and Billy Joel's We Didn't Start the Fire. The timing, the flow, the tone, it was eerie how real it sounded. Within days, those clips went viral everywhere and fans were both amazed and freaked out. That was the spark that showed the world AI wasn't just a tech tool, it was a force capable of rewriting reality in hip-hop, one fake verse at a time. When those AI-generated Jay-Z clips started blowing up, Roc Nation, Jay-Z's powerhouse label, wasn't playing around. They filed DMCA takedown notices for unlawful impersonation, arguing that the videos violated the artist's rights. But here's the twist. The clips were soon reinstated. Why? Because under current copyright law, a person's vocal style isn't actually protected. That strange legal loophole created a gray zone that's still haunting the industry today, and it set the stage for how future rap battles and AI controversies would unfold. Then came Kendrick Lamar's bold move in 2022 with his masterpiece music video for The Heart Part 5. He took deepfake tech and flipped it into pure art. In the video, Kendrick's face morphs seamlessly into iconic black figures: Kanye West, Will Smith, O.J. Simpson, Nipsey Hussle, Kobe Bryant, and Jussie Smollett, as he raps about cancel culture, fame, and the heavy pressure that comes with being a black celebrity under public scrutiny. The transitions were jaw-dropping, both haunting and beautiful, turning what could have been gimmicky into something deeply emotional. In the US, that creative risk paid off big. Most fans and critics saw it as a powerful tribute, not exploitation. Proof that deepfake tech could actually be used to send a message rather than spread lies. It introduced mainstream hip-hop audiences to the idea that AI visuals weren't just for fakes or hoaxes, they could tell real stories and amplify truth when handled with care. Even Jussie Smollett himself later said he had no issue with his likeness being part of the video, calling it a strong and moving visual statement. The real difference between Kendrick's deepfake artistry and the chaos that came later boils down to 3 words: intent, consent, and respect. Kendrick used the technology to honor and reflect, others soon twisted it to deceive and exploit. By 2023, the floodgates were wide open. The tech had escaped control, and the music industry was scrambling to keep up. That year, an AI-generated track called Heart on My Sleeve hit the internet like a bomb. It mimicked Drake and The Weeknd's voices so perfectly that millions believed it was real. The song racked up streams on every major platform, fooling listeners and shaking labels to their core. Universal Music Group quickly demanded every version be wiped from the web, but the damage was done. AI had officially crossed into mainstream music, and nothing was the same after that. Drake himself was furious. He called it the final straw, saying he'd had enough of AI copying his voice and twisting his art without permission. His frustration made sense. His own sound, his signature flow was being cloned by strangers with a computer. But what came next turned everything upside down. Less than a year later, Drake used that same technology, the very thing he condemned, to fire back at Kendrick Lamar. On Tailor-Made Freestyle, he used AI-generated voices of Tupac Shakur and Snoop Dogg, making it sound like the legends themselves were backing him in the feud. The move shocked the world. Even die-hard Drake fans struggled to defend it. Critics called it cold and hypocritical, saying he crossed a moral line that couldn't be ignored. After months of blasting AI for imitating his voice without permission, Drake ended up doing the same thing, only worse. He resurrected the voice of a deceased icon who never gave consent, using it as a weapon in a personal battle. That moment became the ultimate turning point where technology stopped being a tool for art and turned into a weapon for controversy. The moment Drake dropped tailor-made freestyle, the reaction was instant and brutal. Tupac Shakur's estate came out swinging, releasing a sharp legal statement through their attorneys that blasted the song as a flagrant violation of Tupac's legacy. They didn't just complain, they promised to take full legal action if needed. The message was clear: Drake had crossed a sacred line. Within just a few days, he yanked the track from every platform, but by then, the damage was permanent. His credibility when it came to the whole AI issue, gone. The hypocrisy was too glaring to ignore. And that's when things got even messier. The feud turned into a digital circus, spawning fake after fake that threw fans into total confusion. Suddenly, clips, snippets, and new songs kept popping up, and nobody could tell what was real anymore. One track called One Shot blew up online, credited to Kendrick Lamar, until experts confirmed it was 100% AI generated with zero involvement from him or his team. But that wasn't the only one causing chaos. Another song, Push Ups, was real, but fans weren't sure for weeks. And then came BBL Drizzy, an AI parody that started as a joke but went crazy viral. It became such a sensation that Metro Boomin, and later even Drake himself, ended up sampling parts of it in official releases. You couldn't make this up. Then came another mysterious upload titled Wagwan Delilah, which instantly sparked rumors that it might be another AI trick. To this day, nobody's been able to confirm whether it's real or not. The lines between authentic and artificial blurred so completely that the guessing game became part of the story itself. Every drop, every leak, every bar. Fans questioned it all, turning the Drake versus Kendrick beef into not just a musical war, but a digital mind game where nothing could be trusted. Now everything makes sense. This chaos is exactly why that so-called hidden fight footage spread like wildfire. The hip-hop community was already deep in the trenches of digital confusion, dissecting every lyric, video, and leak, trying to figure out what was real and what was AI trickery. Fans had watched artificial voices spit fake verses in the names of rap legends, seen those clips shared millions of times, and witnessed both camps admit to planting false info just to trip each other up. So when rumors of a secret video showing Drake and Kendrick facing off popped up, people didn't even hesitate. They were ready to believe it. Within that atmosphere of blurred truth, the idea that a real fight might have gone down and was being buried by powerful insiders didn't sound crazy at all. This was an era where digital illusions looked more real than reality itself, and trust was basically gone. Every fan scrolling their feed thought, what if this one's real? That's how the lie got wings. The fight footage didn't need proof. It just needed curiosity, drama, and a hungry audience trained to question everything. But for those who actually analyzed the viral clip, the truth was clear as day. It was fake from top to bottom. Experts went frame by frame and spotted all the tells. The weird lighting shifts, the unnatural shadows, the glitchy facial movements that no real camera would ever capture. The digital artifacts gave it away instantly to trained eyes. It wasn't a leak, it was an illusion. Yet in a culture addicted to scandal, even obvious fakes felt real enough to believe, because in this new hip-hop landscape, the line between performance and proof had completely vanished. When you really break it down, the so-called fight footage falls apart fast. The audio doesn't even sound right. There's none of the natural background noise you'd expect at a packed Grammy after party or backstage area where people would be talking, laughing, and moving around. Instead, the sound feels hollow, almost staged. And the voices, they don't sound like a real argument. They sound performed. The shouting follows a rhythm too clean to be authentic, like something out of a low-budget drama instead of an unplanned confrontation. That's the dead giveaway. Real fights are messy, chaotic, full of noise and confusion. This clip, it was way too smooth. Even more telling, neither Drake's team nor Kendrick's crew has ever acknowledged the footage. No insiders, no journalists, no witnesses have backed it up. And this was at one of the most heavily filmed and photographed events in the world. You'd think if something that wild had actually happened, at least one person would have posted about it, but nothing. Silence. Social media searches from January 2025 through February 2026 show zero credible claims from anyone who was actually there. No tweets, no behind-the-scenes leaks, no candid videos, nothing pointing to a real confrontation. Everything tied to that night centers around music, awards, and the legal fallout, not violence. Meanwhile, TikTok and Facebook are packed with parodies, not proof. You can find edits, memes, and even comedy clips like Ray William Johnson's dream sequence that jokingly shows Drake shoving Kendrick and dropping Grammys. Pure satire. Once you look closely, it's obvious. The internet turned a fake story into a viral myth. The truth is simple. There was no secret fight, no hidden footage, just another digital illusion in an era where fiction spreads faster than facts. A huge part of this chaos came from fans themselves. They started creating funny, satirical clips just for entertainment, remixes, memes, and parody edits meant to get laughs, but somewhere along the way, that humor got lost. Once those clips were reposted and stripped of context, people started sharing them as proof of events that never actually happened. What started as jokes became fake evidence, fueling rumors that blurred the line between reality and imagination. Even major voices got caught up in the speculation. On the Joe Rogan Experience, Rogan and his guests openly discussed what might happen if Drake and Kendrick ever crossed paths without security around. The debate sounded wild, but it showed just how invested people had become in a feud that mostly existed through microphones and music videos. They talked about the mismatch, pointing out that Drake's taller, heavier frame might give him an edge if things ever got physical. But that was all talk. In truth, there's zero evidence that any real confrontation ever happened. The idea of them throwing hands has always been pure fantasy born from fan obsession and online exaggeration. Then, just 1 week after his Grammy domination, Kendrick Lamar made another historic move, performing at Super Bowl 59 on February 9th, 2025. It was the biggest stage of the year, and he owned it. To close the show, he performed Not Like Us, the same track that shook the rap world. And as the crowd roared, Kendrick looked straight into the camera, grinning during the lines aimed directly at Drake. The crowd lost their minds. Those bars, referencing Drake's rumored connection with SZA, reignited the entire conversation once again. The history between Drake and SZA had already been mentioned in earlier diss tracks, and Kendrick's performance turned it into a cultural firestorm. One last shot broadcast to the biggest audience on earth. Kendrick's Super Bowl 59 performance wasn't just a show. It was a statement seen by more than 100 million people worldwide. Midway through the set, fans caught a jaw-dropping surprise. Serena Williams made a cameo appearance. Her friendship with Drake had been the subject of gossip for years, and she'd even been mentioned in Kendrick's diss tracks. So when she appeared on that stage, the internet went into meltdown. Many saw it as a carefully planned message, a symbolic move that added another layer to Kendrick's victory narrative. Every second of that performance felt like a televised victory lap, a worldwide broadcast of Kendrick's dominance over his rival. Drake, on the other hand, stayed completely silent. No tweets, no tracks, no interviews, nothing. His lack of response spoke volumes, leaving fans to wonder if the feud had finally reached its breaking point. But while Drake avoided the public drama, the battle behind the scenes was only getting started. And this time, it wasn't lyrical, it was legal. In November 2024, Drake filed a major lawsuit against Universal Music Group, UMG, accusing them of crossing serious lines. In his court filings, he claimed UMG had artificially inflated streams for Kendrick's hit, Not Like Us, making it seem even bigger than it really was. He also alleged that UMG's marketing strategy defamed him, pushing a narrative that portrayed him as guilty of criminal behavior, something that damaged his reputation worldwide. According to Drake, UMG had allegedly paid influencers and even used bots to fake the streaming numbers and make the song look like an unstoppable cultural moment. UMG fired back fast, calling the lawsuit completely baseless and denying every single claim. Kendrick Lamar wasn't officially named in the suit, but his track and its massive success sat right at the center of the controversy. The courtroom showdown was just beginning, promising to expose even more twists in a feud that had already rewritten hip-hop history. By early 2026, the feud had dug its claws so deep into every legal filing that it was impossible to separate the courtroom drama from the music war that started it all. Every motion, every claim, every public statement had traces of the same rivalry that once lit up stages and timelines around the world. Drake's legal team kept pressing forward, adding new accusations against Universal Music Group with every fresh submission. What began as a lyrical clash had now turned into a high-stakes legal showdown that showed no signs of slowing down. Through all this, DJ Academics, one of Drake's loudest supporters and media allies, gave some crucial advice that caught people's attention. He urged Drake to take the Jay-Z approach, to stay quiet, move smart, and let time do the healing instead of jumping back into open fire. Academics argued that fighting back publicly would only keep the humiliation alive and hand his critics more ammo. If Drake had something to say, Academics suggested he drop it quietly inside future lyrics, subtle, coded, and on his own terms. The logic behind that advice made perfect sense. Drake had nothing left to gain by staying in the ring. The public had already crowned Kendrick the victor, and any more energy spent on the feud would only keep the wounds open. But in the middle of all that chaos came an unexpected moment of calm. Dennis Graham, Drake's father, stepped forward with surprising composure after his son's Grammy losses. Instead of anger or excuses, he showed grace, thanking supporters and expressing pride in Drake's achievements despite the tough season. It was a rare, genuine moment of dignity amid all the drama, a reminder that even in defeat, legacy speaks louder than headlines. The morning after the Grammys chaos, Dennis Graham broke his silence with pure class. He publicly said, "All the best to him," referring to Kendrick's wins, a short but graceful statement that cooled the tension. He brushed off the sting of "not like us" and its brutal accusations against the Graham family, downplaying it all as just part of the game. Meanwhile, Drake jumped back online within days, teasing snippets of new music on Instagram, flashing a calm, confident image like none of it had touched him. To the public, it looked like he was unfazed, moving forward as if the whole thing was just another headline in a long career of them. But beneath the surface, this moment hit different. The humiliation Drake faced on national television couldn't just be laughed off. To really understand how big this loss was, you've got to look back at 2015, when Drake demolished Meek Mill with Back-to-Back. That track flipped the entire rap scene, proving Drake could not only hang with, but out-rap a respected street rapper. It became an anthem, one of his most iconic moments. 500 million streams later, it still defines the height of his battle power. But Not Like Us made Back-to-Back look tiny by comparison. Kendrick's anthem broke every record in sight, becoming the most streamed rap song on Spotify in a single day and embedding itself into culture in a way few songs ever do. It wasn't just a diss track, it was a movement, a rallying cry that echoed across radio, TikTok, and award shows alike, and the difference between those two moments couldn't be clearer. In 2015, Drake was the underdog, the polished hitmaker proving he could hang with the streets and win. But in 2025, everything flipped. Against Kendrick, Drake had become the establishment. The megastar brought down by the artist critics had long called the superior lyricist. What once felt like a victory lap for Drake had now become a harsh reminder that every king eventually meets someone ready to take the throne. What made this feud hit so much harder than any other wasn't just the bars, it was the families caught in the crossfire. When Drake's son, Adonis, got pulled into the narrative and Kendrick fired back with lines about alleged hidden children, the battle crossed a line. Suddenly, this wasn't just hip-hop competition. It was personal, emotional, and dangerous territory. Shots aimed at parents, children, and family values turned what should have been lyrical sparring into something far darker than entertainment. These weren't just clever rhymes, they were real wounds broadcast to millions. Once innocent kids and families became part of the story, there was no taking it back. Words like that don't fade, they stain reputations. And when accusations of predatory behavior toward minors entered the conversation, it went beyond the usual rap bravado. That kind of claim isn't something that can be written off as just lyrics. It reshaped how people viewed Drake, not as an artist in a feud, but as a man facing serious culture-shaking scrutiny. The damage cut deeper than streaming stats or Grammy numbers. It hit his image, his credibility, and his legacy in ways that no PR team could fully repair. Then came a powerful twist. By February 2026, Kendrick Lamar was back at the 68th Grammy Awards with a brand new project, his surprise album, GN, released in November 2025, with almost no promotion. The drop came out of nowhere and instantly dominated headlines, playlists, and think pieces. When the night ended, Kendrick didn't just walk away with more trophies, he made history. He won 5 out of 9 nominations, bringing his career total to 27 Grammy Awards, officially surpassing Jay-Z's long-standing record of 24. That moment cemented Kendrick Lamar as the most awarded rapper in Grammy history, a title that felt like the final chapter in this modern hip-hop war. What began as a clash between two rap titans had evolved into something much bigger, a story about truth, technology, and the cost of greatness in the digital age. Kendrick's reign didn't slow down. It only grew more legendary. His collaboration with SZA on Luther, a reimagined cover of Luther Vandross's 1981 classic Never Too Much, became another cultural milestone. The song perfectly blended smooth R&B nostalgia with sleek, modern production, creating something timeless yet fresh. When it won Record of the Year, Kendrick made history again, earning his second consecutive victory in that elite category and sealing his place as one of the greatest artists of his generation. But what truly grabbed people that night wasn't just the trophy, it was Kendrick's tone. His acceptance speech hit differently. Instead of throwing shade or revisiting the chaos of his feud with Drake, he focused on unity, artistry, and legacy. He took a breath, smiled, and shouted out his fellow nominees, artists like Tyler, The Creator, Pusha T, and Clips, showing nothing but respect. No sneak disses, no tension, no pettiness, just gratitude and acknowledgement. It was a powerful shift, the kind that made even his critics stop and take notice. Across social media, fans called it growth, a sign that Kendrick had turned the page. The man who once dropped the sharpest diss tracks of the decade was now speaking about community and creativity instead of conflict. His maturity stood in bold contrast to the wild energy of 2024, when every week had brought a new lyrical strike, a new headline, and another wave of controversy. Even his album GNX reflected that evolution, packed with subtle nods to resilience, culture, and perseverance for those who listen closely, but free of any direct shots or drama. It was as if Kendrick had finally proven his point, and now he was choosing peace over battle, reminding everyone that true dominance doesn't need to shout, it simply stands tall in its own truth. By the time 2026 arrived, there was nothing left to prove. Kendrick Lamar had already done what few artists in history ever could. He ended a rivalry decisively. His words had landed, his wins had stacked, and his legacy was untouchable. There was no need to keep swinging at an opponent who was already down. Continuing the fight would have only reignited a conflict that had burned too bright for too long. And Kendrick knew that. His silence wasn't surrender, it was strategy. But the bigger question still lingers. Where does this go from here? That's the haunting part. The echo left behind after the noise fades. The accusations buried in those songs, especially the ones hinting at criminal behavior, can't simply disappear. They live forever in the digital archives of culture, locked into YouTube uploads, lyric breakdowns, and fan debates that will never fully die out. Once the internet stamps something into history, it's permanent. Drake's reputation, once bulletproof, now carries scars that can't be healed by chart success or legal victories. Streams, sales, and stadium tours can only do so much, because in the court of public opinion, perception is reality. The shadow of those accusations will always hover over him, whether fair or not. As for Kendrick, his dominance feels absolute, artistically, commercially, and culturally. But even his victory carries a heavy weight. When children, parents, and families get dragged into the battlefield of fame, no one truly wins. What started as a rap war turned into something deeper, a reflection of how digital culture can twist art into chaos, leaving behind real people caught in the fallout. In the end, Lamar may have conquered the charts and the critics, but this story isn't just about triumph, it's about what's lost when music, technology, and humanity collide under the blinding light of fame. After all the noise, rumors, and wild theories, the truth stands clear that so-called hidden fight footage was never real. It was a hoax from the start, cooked up to farm clicks in an online world already drowning in deep fakes, planted stories, and viral drama built for engagement. Not one shred of real evidence. No police reports, no eyewitnesses, no credible media has ever supported the claim that Drake and Kendrick Lamar threw hands at any point in their decade-long rivalry. For all its chaos, this feud stayed exactly where hip-hop wars belong, on the mic and in the music. The tension, the bars, the power plays, all verbal, all artistic, never physical. Both men are still out there selling out arenas, dropping new projects, and commanding global audiences who will pay any price to witness history live on stage. Behind the scenes, the lawsuits still crawl forward, inch by inch, through the slow grind of the legal system, but the truth remains. No fight, no punches, no secret footage, because there's simply nothing to hide. What started as whispers of a backstage brawl ended up proving something bigger. That in this digital age, people don't just chase the truth, they chase the story. And when the internet gets hungry, even a lie can become a wildfire overnight. And well, that's it for this breakdown. But don't go anywhere. There's plenty more to uncover in the world of hip-hop's biggest controversies. Tap one of the cards on your screen, drop a comment, like, and subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next. Because trust me, the next story is about to be just as wild.